everyone. I'm Symphony Privet. Thank you for staying with us here on Featured. We hope to inspire or simply make you smile with uplifting stories from across the country. Making the cut for Make-A-Wish Connecticut. The funds have been donated for a well-known wood carving artist to create something special for Make-A-Wish families. And the idea is that his artwork will endure. Here's Jim Altman with the story.
In Trumbull, it is a massive tree trunk transformed, and this project has a bit more heart. Have chainsaw, will travel. There's nothing ordinary about Jared Welcome's daily grind. Known as the Jer Bear, he's a chainsaw artist adding his touch in Trumbull.
I love doing this project here.
This is the center of the Make-A-Wish Connecticut campus, where the Jer Bear has been commissioned, in a sense, to change the landscape here.
Well, we saw that we had an unhealthy tree. We wanted to transform it into something beautiful. And when Wish kids and their families come here, it's going to bring them some joy, spark imagination, and creativity. That's our hope.
Beyond the bees, there is more buzz. 14 feet up, there's something whimsical above the roar and the whir. Taking shape for the kids who visit here are gnome homes.
These are gnome, fairy, elves, different kind of homes, just to, again, create that curiosity and that imagination for the kids. You know, there's a lot of soul to this. There's so much hope. You know, the philosophy of Make-A-Wish is hope, integrity, strength. No kid should have to go through what they're going through. So if I can add a little happiness and a little chance for them to step outside and have some fun and smile and use their brains and think about imagination and be kids, then that's the whole goal of this.
And perhaps stronger than the power of 60 cc's comes the power of kindness.
This is just a place that it's perfect. It's really at the center of the campus. And when you see it, when I look out my window every day, it's just going to bring some joy.
So this carving is meant to make memories for all the kids that are going to come through. Hopefully this carving will last forever.
In Trumbull, Connecticut, Jim Altman for Featured.
A Rotary Club in California is celebrating 100 years of community service. Jeff Zevely takes us there.
For those of you who think nothing productive ever comes out of a meeting, these Rotarians are proving you can get a lot done during lunch. For the past 100 years, the Coronado Rotary Club has made their communities sparkle.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another beautiful Wednesday of Rotary.
Club President Natalie Bailey is a Coronado dentist who grew up with the club.
Rotary has been part of my entire life, and growing up as my mom is the first female president, I always knew I wanted to do that.
That's right. The club's top spot runs in the family. Suzanne Pop, Natalie's mother, was the club's first female president in 1999.
This club started in 1926 with the same mission, let's help other people.
The club's motto is service above self. Stephanie Anderson is in charge of the 29th annual Low Tide Ride and Stride.
You can run, you can walk, you can push a stroller or ride your bike.
This year, Rotarians are hoping to raise $200,000.
100% of the funds proceeds go to charity, with the vast majority going to military and first responder causes.
We got you, Craig, and you got Knopp.
87-year-old Doug Weisbarth is the club's sergeant of arms, nicknamed the Sheriff.
Well, because I need to have something to do other than being a couch potato.
For nearly 40 years, the Sheriff's been giving back.
We do the flags on the avenue about 13 times a year for holidays.
The Sheriff's favorite event is the Rotary Santa program.
It's a really cool tradition. I remember being like 5 years old and Santa coming to my house.
Did it confuse you when you saw 70 Santas at once?
You'd only get to see one.
Okay.
They don't all come.
Okay.
It's just one Santa that comes to your house.
Every faith and political belief is welcomed at the Rotary Club.
I love it.
Sure, members hold diverse beliefs, but all differences are set aside for the common good.
We don't get into politics or religion, we just get into what we can do good for the community.
If someone does get out of line, the sheriff has the power to issue a fine.
Yeah, but we'd probably just hush them up first.
From ice cream socials to food pantries, pancake breakfasts, and more, the Coronado Rotary Club has poured millions of dollars into their community in the past century.
I guess the first word that comes to mind is just legacy of this club and this community. It's inspiring.
In the Zevely Zone, Jeff Zevely.
Every summer, kids of all ages get together to enjoy 3 months of freedom from school. It's been a long time since I've had an extended period of time off like that. Well, for a handful of kids in Iowa, Bucksfield is that place. For 4 years, it's been Waukees Sandlot. Here's Trey Redfield.
It's Sunday night in Waukee. But in this neighborhood, it's wiffle ball night.
It's a lot of work. You gotta spray paint all the lines and get all the signs up.
Bucksfield is the place.
Oh, big swing.
Drake professor Tom Buckmiller is the mastermind.
Foul ball off the scoreboard. We were looking for an activity to kind of bring the neighborhood together. And Sunday nights are a good time where a lot of neighbors can come together.
It's for neighbors of all ages.
In a single game, we've had a 3-year-old and a 73-year-old playing the same games.
Featuring former pros.
Hey!
Like Matt Cook.
Nice, Freddie!
It's just a lot of fun. I mean, I can be out here playing with my son, all the kids in the neighborhood, and then all the adults too.
Cook shares Bucksfield with his son.
Coming at you, Jax.
Who teams up with Tom's son.
Three!
Freddie Buckmiller.
Every Sunday, there's just a new group of people. So it's just fun knowing everybody to play.
Before Freddie turns heads on the field, he helps prepare it. It's a 2-hour operation led by his older sister.
When Buckmiller hits a home run.
And it gives us something to look forward to, and it's so fun to see the little kids when they hit, they're all happy, and then home runs are so fun.
The homers are remembered.
Whoa, good hit!
But the memories never die.
Yeah, buddy. We just want to make a good experience for anybody who comes out to feel like it's a big time, fun stadium.
What's a family idea?
I'm just glad that my kids have taken over ownership of it.
Has become Waukee Sandlot.
Just like in life, sometimes calls go your way, sometimes they don't. Sometimes you hit a home run, sometimes you fly out. We want to have fun, we want to be laid back and just get together and laugh and compete and have fun.
That was Trey Redfield reporting from Iowa. A rare cat was up for adoption at a humane society in California, and it took a very special owner to give it a new home, even after being found abandoned near a dumpster. She is still a lover who will gladly fall asleep in your lap. What a cutie. Steve Price reports.
If one kitten looks like this and the other kitten looks like this, what do you think mom looks like? If you guessed bald sphinx, you're right. This is Mama.
Hello.
Meet Thumbelina. She and her kittens were found abandoned next to a dumpster.
They are not hairless, obviously. You've seen them. So they must have had a furry dad.
Dr. Julie Mays with Rancho Coastal Humane Society says, theoretically speaking, since these kittens carry the hairless recessive gene, if they had kittens with another cat that also carried the hairless recessive gene, they could have hairless kittens, despite both parents having fur.
Well, they could, except we spayed and neutered them last week, so they're not going to have any kittens. But yes, if the two of them were to have kittens, they would have a 25% chance of being hairless.
Dr. Mays personally fostered the family for 6 weeks, and when they first arrived, they weren't doing well.
It's been rewarding to see them come back to health.
Now they're ready for adoption, and not surprisingly, the kittens went quickly.
Oh, does that purr? Can you hear the purring?
But Thumbelina, who's believed to be around 2 years old, is still looking for a forever home, and she's a total lover.
These guys tend to be cold because they have no hair, so a lot of them are very social and really want to be near you and want to be on your lap to stay warm.
Being hairless also makes them a little more work for their humans. Cats produce skin oils that are typically absorbed by fur, but with no fur, Thumbelina needs assistance.
The breed does require a little extra care, so she's going to need regular bathing, cleaning her ears and nails.
And if you're allergic to cats, her hairlessness won't help. That's usually connected to their saliva. She's definitely not a cat for everyone, but if she's a cat for you, the Rancho Coastal Humane Society says give them a call.
She's a really, really sweet, special cat, so whoever gets her is going to be very lucky.
In Encinitas, Steve Price.
All right, we have a happy ending to that report. Since that story was put together, little Thumbelina has been adopted. Someone applied, got approved for the adoption, and took her home. Well, it turns out, get this, the woman who adopted her has another Sphynx cat, so they are just one big, happy, hairless family, and her kittens also found new homes. Love that there was a good update to that one. All right, still ahead, a single mom in Washington is helping feed thousands of seniors. How the community is stepping up to help her accomplish her goal. Plus, a Georgia family is turning their daughter's health fight into a mission to help neonatal intensive care families. We'll show you how they're supporting others when they need it most. One Texas community is coming together to save a historic cemetery after heavy rain. Ryan Hopper shows us the trouble they face and how they plan to preserve the site.
For the past 5 years, Freddie Gonzalez has been working to preserve the dignity of the old Robstown Cemetery.
I just felt that it was my responsibility, along with everybody else that has family here, and really nobody really wanted to help, or they were busy doing other things. But
Gonzalez pushing through the blood, sweat, and mosquito bites to spruce one of his relatives' plots. And he typically doesn't stop there.
She wanted to do this one section. I said, no, if we're going to take on it, I said, I'm going to take on everything. So that's the reason. Plus, a cemetery shouldn't be neglected like this.
But Gonzalez is recovering from surgery.
It only gets this way when the rains come in. It just, nobody maintains it, so it gets out of hand.
So he recently stopped into Ray's Cafe right next to the cemetery to explain his struggle, inspiring owner Ray Molina and city leaders to organize a grassroots effort.
There's a lot of relatives, there's a lot of veterans that I've found out that are buried back here, and we're just going to do our part and try to help out the community.
They'll have food and refreshments ready for volunteers who come out to lend a hand at 9 a.m. Saturday. So if you're planning to help, here's what you're going to want to bring.
Weed eaters, lawnmowers, a lot of off because the mosquitoes are very bad, hats, glasses, gloves.
But take it slow on those mowers. Many yards are still soft, muddy, and covered in standing water.
Be careful, don't get stuck. Because it's very hard to get one of these things out of the mud.
Ryan Hopper.
A single mom is helping feed tens of thousands of seniors around Puget Sound. But she will be the first to tell you she isn't doing the work single-handedly. Eric Wilkinson shares her story.
Okay, what are we waiting on?
Brenda Jalitz is the field general of a small army of volunteers.
Oh, there you go, you got that? She's the general. I'm probably the colonel down below.
Brenda founded the nonprofit A Common Thread during the pandemic. She started by distributing masks and food to seniors in her car. Then she had an idea.
So what if I buy a truck? Which I did. My truck.
Brenda spent her own money to buy this truck, and her one-woman delivery service exploded into a regional force for good. With the pandemic long behind us, Brenda and her crew now deliver food to 30,000 seniors from King to Lewis counties every month.
Her heart, she gives a lot.
Brenda has amassed about 360 volunteers across 4 counties. Food brought to low-income and disabled seniors who then volunteer to help their neighbors.
It's just a godsend that we get this every month.
Are you almost set up?
Brenda's work was born from her own hardship. As a single mother, she was on public assistance for a time the retired Seattle Transportation Department worker prefers not to talk about, but she acknowledges its impact on her outlook.
Nobody helped me, so I'm going to help those that I can.
Still, Brenda doesn't like to take credit for all the good work being done for so many people. She credits the troops in her army, an army that would happily follow her into battle.
If we didn't have this program, I would say that a lot of them would be hurting right now.
Brenda simply hopes a common thread will continue to strengthen the fabric of her community.
It's touching people's hearts. It's making a difference.
In Kent, Eric Wilkinson.
A family in Georgia is turning their daughter's health fight into a mission. The Watkins family welcomed their micro-preemie daughter back in April. As their infant continues to grow, the Watkins are growing an organization to ensure other families don't fight alone. Olivia Dunn shows us more.
Navy Kate Watkins was born with the odds stacked against her. She weighed just over a pound when she was born 4 months premature in April. But mom, dad, and older brother Chris say her size is deceiving.
She's definitely a little warrior, and she's a fighter, and she is strong.
James and Shelby Watkins welcomed their first daughter on April 12th.
You know, they told me on the phone she has a 10% chance of surviving, and really the only thing I heard is that there's a 90% chance that she's going to pass.
But Navy Kate beat those odds. After 2 brain bleeds, surgeries, and trips to the Children's Hospital in Atlanta, Navy Kate is alive and growing.
I just feel bad that she's getting poked a lot.
The parents in general are going through a living nightmare. It's something that you don't understand unless you've gone through it.
As the Watkins support their daughter, they're also supporting NICU families. They started the Little Warriors Project, collecting baby supplies, gift cards, and offering resources in warrior boxes.
We're going to fight for her, we're going to fight for our family, and we're going to fight for the other little ones and their families.
Navy Kate is still waiting to come back from Atlanta after a recent surgery. James, Shelby, and Chris hope she'll make it home in August. Through the Little Warriors Project, they're making sure no family fights alone.
It's not huge, but it's that little symbol of, hey, we see you, we're praying for you, we love you, we're here for you.
Oh my goodness, well, I'm glad to see that the little baby is improving and that they want to help other families so they don't have to experience that same hardship. And that was Olivia Dunn reporting from Georgia. We have more for you coming up right on the other side of this break. Check this out, beating the odds. One little 5-year-old girl is now cancer-free after doctors found 2 tumors on her brain. We'll share her story of hope. And still ahead, on a quiet Georgia lake, wounded officers finally exhale. How one organization is creating space to talk about what doesn't wash away. When doctors told one family their 5-year-old daughter had not 1, but 2 brain tumors, they feared the worst. And now, after more than a year of grueling treatment, that little girl is cancer-free and doing exactly what she had been dreaming about. Monica Robbins shared her story.
At 10 months old, Maddie began battling neurofibromatosis type 1, or NF1, a genetic condition that causes tumors to grow on nerve tissue and happens to 1 in 2,500 people. Her family managed the diagnosis until Cleveland Clinic Imaging discovered not 1, but 2 optic pathway gliomas, tumors growing along the nerves connecting her eyes to her brain.
The main threat of optic pathway gliomas is vision loss. And so the reason that you want to treat somebody who has an optic pathway glioma is not that it's immediately life-threatening, but it is vision-threatening. And that's really the goal, is to preserve vision.
Maddie would need months of chemotherapy.
When they kind of went over the plan with us and told us the odds, we were like, okay, we're going to have to do this, because if we don't, then she's going to lose more of her vision.
Maddie endured 14 months of chemo. She found ways to make the hospital feel a little less scary.
I played with the toys.
For her family, each scan brought another round of worry and waiting.
It just felt like we weren't breathing the entire time. We felt like we were holding our breath, just waiting for another shoe to drop, waiting for more to happen.
The bell sounded the news they needed. Both tumors stable, treatment over, and Maddie had one request.
She kind of looked out there, she's like, "Can we go to the beach?" And I went, "Oh, yeah, we can actually go to the beach. You can." That was like the one moment that I felt like, okay, I think we're like free. Like, yeah, we're free from this for at least a little while. That felt good.
And then the eagles were chasing us.
Seagulls, yes.
Was I in the front?
Maddie will be monitored for the rest of her life. This battle may be over, but NF1 can present new challenges at any stage.
It takes an incredible amount of resilience and persistence of hope for a person who has the illness and their parents and their family to help really allow them and encourage them to experience joy and not be overtaken by the heaviness that can come when you anticipate a lifetime of challenges from a disease that you inherited.
Tiffany learned strength from Maddie, and her message is one we can all live by.
Good things can come from bad things, I think, is the number one thing that I've learned. Not everything that's bad has to stay bad. You can learn from it, you can grow from it.
Monica Robbins.
It's still to come this morning on Featured. A woman who helps people find love found herself was in need of an organ donor. How her husband overcame the impossible to help out. And a Virginia woman is turning her neighborhood into an art gallery. We'll show you how she's hoping to bring small moments of joy to people she never met. Thank you for staying with us here on Featured. I'm Symphony Privet, and we are continuing to bring you uplifting stories from across the country. Now, one woman in Texas spent years helping other people find their perfect match, but then she found herself searching for one of the most important matches of her life. A matchmaker now needs a kidney transplant, and the person who stepped up was the one right by her side. Mitty Hicks shares her story.
People think you are like a unicorn.
For 15 years, Jennifer Gowans has been in the business of finding the perfect match for everyone else.
So I can match you on paper, you know, as far as what I think would be compatible, but then those two people, the chemistry's got to be there.
She was diagnosed with stage 5 kidney disease and learned that finding a kidney donor works a lot like finding love. You can't just want it.
To be a kidney donor, you first of all have to be able to qualify for it.
Her son and husband both stepped up, but this matchmaker had to screen out her only child.
For my son, I was like, you have 2 boys. Our family history is diabetes and all these different things, so high blood pressure is in our family too, so I didn't want him to worry about that.
But her husband had everything she needed, O-type blood and a clean bill of health, so they thought. He was denied the first time.
The elevated levels of high blood pressure, they wouldn't be able to have him as a donor.
But he retested, and this time it was a perfect match.
And I just was also just overwhelmed and overcome with emotion. I'm a person who don't have no problem showing this emotion.
The woman who spent 15 years making matches for strangers finally got the one that mattered most.
I joke and said we were already soulmates, like we didn't know you could get any closer than this, for him actually giving you an organ.
That was Mitty Hicks reporting from Dallas. When you ask Jennifer what she's looking forward to the most after her surgery, she says just hanging out with her friends and her grandkids. And I know they are all ready to welcome her back home as she continues to heal. Oh, a nonprofit in Georgia is fostering healing, one cast at a time. Hooked on the Blue takes injured officers out on the water to put their minds at ease. Caitlin Ross shares this story of connection and kindness.
That's bluegill, that's bass.
Out here, it's quiet enough to finally say the things that are hard to carry.
You've been in the force how long? 14 years?
Because from the outside, everything can look just fine.
First couple of nights back on shift, it was
But beneath the surface,
nerve-wracking.
A lot of officers are holding on to moments that don't just wash away.
Some of the things that we see in our line of work, no one else has ever experienced.
And out here, the water has a way of meeting them right there.
The spiritual healing was much needed.
Milton Officer David Little is ready to share now.
I got shot a couple times, one in the stomach, and I took some shrapnel in my right hip and left thigh, and then I took a chunk of bullet between my index finger and middle knuckle right here.
Wounds you can see and those you can't.
I think anytime that you can open up about something, it's always good.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, it's like, you need to go talk to somebody, you need to go talk to somebody.
For Police Officer Matthew Underwood, this became a calling.
No alcohol, no drugs or anything to cope with things, but let me go fishing.
Founding Hooked on the Blue to make sure no one has to heal alone.
Cry a little bit, love on each other a little bit, and just to get to know them real well and let them know that they have another extended family.
Trips that aren't just about fishing, but about giving officers and their families a chance to breathe again.
When officers get seriously injured in the line of duty, they kind of get forgotten about, out of sight, out of mind. And with us, we want to let them know that we do have their back and that we're here for them, that we love them.
And for the officers and families who step onto these boats, that stillness can mean everything.
I genuinely appreciate everything that you guys did for us. That one trip did so much for me.
Out here, it's not about forgetting what happened. It's about finding a little peace in the middle of it.
That was Caitlin Ross reporting from Georgia. Suicide, it still is the second leading cause of death for people under 18 in Arkansas. The state's crisis center says it's taking steps to expand support for teens. Claire Everbach has more.
For many youth, reaching out for help doesn't start with a phone call. It starts with a text. Organizers at the Arkansas Crisis Center tell me that since they launched their 988 text line last year, they received more text messages from youth within the first 6 weeks than they did phone calls an entire year. Right now, more than 30 high school students from across our area are training to become the inaugural cohort of Arkansas Teen Connect, Arkansas's first peer-to-peer youth support text line. Over the next few months, these students will complete training in active listening, mental health literacy, suicide prevention, communication skills, crisis recognition, and peer support. Built by teens for teens, Arkansas Teen Connect trains high school students to provide confidential text-based support to other young people experiencing loneliness or emotional distress.
The Arkansas Crisis Center is just something that is so critical that Arkansas needs, and the people of Arkansas really do need it. Like, you know, you think of like doctors as like people that like help each other, but like these are heroes as well.
I think this is a good way for people who usually wouldn't reach out, who are teens and who are struggling, to have somebody to talk to, and prevent more people from ending up in bad places and worse situations.
That was Claire Everbach reporting from Arkansas. Now, if you need emotional support, you can call or even text the National Mental Health Hotline 988, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week across the United States. Well, for many kids, going to the movies is a tradition, but for some students at a middle school in Arizona, it's something they've never experienced. When funding for their field trip fell through, their school resource officer opened his wallet and made sure they didn't miss out. Kyle Simchuk has a story.
Some of them live in a different life than most of us would comprehend, and they just haven't seen a lot of good things with their own eyes.
Sean Reevey is the school resource officer at Greenway Middle School.
They're not little kids and they're not grown up. They think they are.
He knows these kids, he knows their neighborhood, and when funding for their end of summer field trip fell through, he knew exactly what he had to do.
I gave it to them. so they could go. I rented out the entire theater.
All 144 seats at Harkins Scottsdale so that 7th and 8th graders could see Toy Story 5. For some of them, it's the first time they've ever been to a movie.
Their families work multiple jobs. A lot of our students are on free and reduced lunch, so they are given a breakfast and a lunch for free. So these opportunities are super important for us.
Greenway is a Title I school, meaning most families here are low income.
Yesterday in the cafeteria, when Mr. Layhouse said some of you are going to have to spend your own money to buy snacks and such, I saw the looks on your faces and it made me sad. So we called the theater and I bought you guys all popcorn, snacks, and a drink. Yeah. So thank you. You guys are awesome, okay?
Reeve spent 6 years as a child crimes detective, working in, as he puts it, a pretty dark unit. It's what pushed him toward the light.
It dawned on me that little kids who were scared responded to superheroes. So I started a superhero-based foundation called Put on the Cape, a foundation for hope.
Now in its 12th year, the foundation funds child advocacy centers and teen youth programs.
Their family doesn't have a car. Parents, if they have two, work multiple jobs. I mean, half of them have never been to a water park before. They've never been across the other side of the highway before. So that's the joy. People say, why do you give money to kids that aren't your own? Well, they should be everybody's kids.
This year, the theater bill was under $2,000.
And if they needed more, I would have given them more. Last year at the water park, it was over $3,000. But you can't break a promise to a child. They come here knowing that there's a reward at the end.
And for that reward, Reeve asked these kids for one thing in return.
So as you get older in life, help other people as a payback to me. Would you do that? That's all I ask of you. Be happy, healthy, love each other, and help anyone who needs you, okay?
In Phoenix, Kyle Simchuk.
Neighbors in Arlington, Virginia continue to be surprised by works of art just popping up all over the community. The woman behind the creations discovered her mission to spread joy after an unexpected setback. Sean Martinelli takes us to the heart of it.
If the Tooth Fairy met Tinkerbell and they dreamed up a human, Rachel Wood would likely be the result.
I don't ever want to be toxically positive, but I like to straddle that line.
During the height of COVID, Rachel vowed to put down her phone and pick up a new hobby. That led to creations like these.
Nobody really complains about your art when it's free.
And when she lost her job last year, that led to something more.
So I made a pact with a girlfriend, and we'd take a picture of our favorite thing, and at 8 o'clock every night, we text them to each other. So I kind of thought, like, what if I could create that somebody's glimmer of the day? It was during a time when a lot of people had lost their jobs. You know it's not connected to your value. Your job isn't connected to your value, but it's sometimes hard to believe that.
Rachel started creating, not for herself, not for friends, for strangers.
I felt like I wanted to contribute something, and it didn't have to be a job.
So this was your way?
This was my way.
And that turned into?
A lot bigger than I thought it would.
Rachel calls it the Joyful Art Project.
People have stopped me to just say, you look so happy. And I take that as like the biggest compliment ever.
These creations are left all over her Arlington neighborhood. Over the past year, she's finished hundreds. Her way to bring joy even when times are hard.
There's a hope in it too, like that people take that into the world and are inspired to spread joy in their own way.
Rachel eventually found a new job, but says she found something even more meaningful here.
My purpose is to spread joy, and I don't know if I really had grasped how I was going to do that, and I think I found it.
A purpose found, not in the making, but the giving. In Arlington, Virginia, Sean Martinelli.
Still to come, a dream that began with a small cafe has grown into something much bigger. We'll show you how Hugs Cafe is starting a new chapter, and a student in Western New York is overcoming challenges, how he's pushing the boundaries of what he can create. Welcome back. A dream that started with just a handful of employees has changed hundreds of lives. Now, Hugs Cafe in Texas is taking its mission to the next level thanks to a new building. Here's Sean Giggy.
One of arguably North Texas's most successful businesses just built this state-of-the-art facility, which will allow them to produce a lot more love. Hugs Cafe is a nonprofit that operates a restaurant run entirely by people with intellectual and developmental disabilities.
Their lives are changed, every person that walks through those doors.
Hugs Cafe exists because Ruth Thompson had a dream, but this is beyond her wildest dream.
I could have never imagined this.
Ruth's dream was to have a small cafe with 23 employees. Today, Hugs has 100 employees, 90% who are intellectually or developmentally disabled. And this new facility in McKinney will multiply that mission.
We're able to train so many more individuals.
A large training kitchen allows them to teach 5 times as many students. There are classrooms, meeting spaces, a rooftop patio, and the entire nonprofit, now under one roof. The walls are painted with purpose and lined with love. A timeline serves as a reminder of the nonprofit's origins and every step along the way.
I just love it here. The joy it brings to everyone is amazing.
Whether it's a meal or people, Hugs Cafe has served thousands, and this will allow them to serve far more. In McKinney, I'm Sean Giggy.
All right, this next one you're gonna love. If you have ever thought, I can't do that, well, this story may change your mind. A high school student in Western New York is pushing past the limits, building something from scratch, all while overcoming challenges along the way. Courtney Courtwright has the story.
Creativity doesn't stand still in George Wimay's classroom.
You got to find what they like and then use that to get them motivated to do the stuff in class.
Ideas are built, coded, and brought to life.
I started to really get into computers, and then eventually it evolved into pretty much building almost anything I can, experimenting with everything I can.
Aiden Bishop knows what it's like to create.
I essentially wired all these together first, just to make sure that they all physically worked together. And then I did the coding to make sure that it would actually move the way I wanted it to and do what I wanted it to.
He built this autonomous robot model car from scratch in about 10 weeks.
And I actually started designing and 3D printing the wheels and the platform themselves. And then I put everything together.
The build process could be a challenge in and of itself.
I just need technology to be able to either make things closer, like zoom things in, magnify things, or read things aloud to me.
Bishop was born with optic nerve hypoplasia, a condition where the optic nerve is underdeveloped.
It's hard to exactly say like how much vision I have because I've never seen fully before.
Pushing through obstacles, discovering he could do anything he put his mind to.
I've found some way or another to do really anything I want to do. So yeah, it really doesn't matter what disability you have. You can do anything.
Aiden has never let anything slow him down. He's never let anything limit him. He works at the same pace or faster than some of my students without disabilities, and he's getting to work with a student who's passionate. There's really no other joy like that.
Creativity in this classroom means pushing the limits.
Forced me a little bit to try to push my boundaries a bit and see where I can go.
And Aiden Bishop is proving what is possible.
That was Courtney Courtwright reporting. Aiden says he still has some work to do on the model car, but he's had a couple of ideas before that, including a drone and a Roomba. So maybe those are his next projects. Can't wait to get an update on that one. Now, in one area of Minnesota, before there were selfies at scenic overlooks, there were photos with the root beer lady. Generations of people on canoes made the stop, paddling through the Boundary Waters for a bottle of homemade root beer and a conversation with Dorothy Moulter. Sammy Selena shares her story, which is now heading back to the stage.
Seasons in the Boundary Waters come and go.
And it has been 40 years since Dorothy Moulter greeted canoers from her remote home on Knife Lake, where she lived by herself for 50 years.
I wouldn't know how to live in the city.
She was the last non-Indigenous person to live in the Boundary Waters. She sold homemade root beer to visitors and earned the name the Root Beer Lady.
Her root beer was so popular that they had to limit it, right?
Yes.
And still,
she couldn't keep up.
Her legacy lives.
And when I land here in the cabin, I land as Dorothy.
Kim Schultz is the playwright and solo performer of the Root Beer Lady, now coming back to the History Theater for a third time.
We recreated all the signs she had. It's actually Quit Your Belly Aching. I get to imagine what was it like by herself up there. How did she feel about the 1952 Saturday Evening Post headline that called her the loneliest woman in America? Did she agree? Was she mad? Like what? So I get to play.
Schultz consulted with the Dorothy Moulter Museum in Ely.
She was in nursing school at the time she came up to the Boundary Waters canoe area.
Jess Edberg is the executive director.
And she maintained those nursing credentials for a lot of her life. And the fact that she could provide wilderness emergency medical services 15 miles from the nearest road is one of the reasons that she was able to negotiate that lifetime tenancy after the Wilderness Act in '64.
Was the root beer good?
So it depends on who you ask. A lot of folks were in the Boundary Waters for a week or 10 days. And this was the first beverage that they've had that wasn't water from the lake.
The longer you stay in the Boundary Waters, the better the root beer tastes.
After a 10-hour canoe ride in the heat of the summer, I'm sure it tasted pretty amazing.
It was my very first trip to the Boundary Waters.
Jim Grenke visited her on a canoe trip in 1986, the year she died.
I asked her, how does one make root beer out here? And I was expecting this kind of earthy story where you have to dig the roots and you go through a backwoods process. And she said, well, you go into town and you get the ingredients. That popped my bubble a little bit.
He says Kim's portrayal captured who Dorothy really was.
Especially with how at risk the Boundary Waters are. Having this story be told, I think, helps remind us of the importance of wilderness.
And as seasons come and go in the Boundary Waters, Dorothy Moulter's impact is still very much felt.
She was so much more than the Root Beer Lady.
That is such an awesome story. That was Sammy Salina reporting from Minnesota. All right, coming up after this break, a donkey brought joy to people along a trail in Arkansas, but not everyone loved the noise. How that problem led to a new purpose that helps kids. When a family in Arkansas moved a donkey named Darius to their property along a nearby park and trail, he quickly became a hit. The problem is Darius has a big mouth, and his bray had neighbors saying, "Take him away, but don't get jacked up." Darius picked up some new duties. His new home gives him an even bigger purpose, helping children build confidence, develop life skills, and experience the healing power of animals through therapy. Here's Catherine Rowley.
What Pediatrics Plus does is we provide occupational, physical, and speech therapy.
You can call him Darius the donkey, a four-legged friend bringing comfort to kids at a very special farm.
So one of the visions that we had when we first came up with the farm concept is to really provide functional life skills for children. So whether it's with the animals like Darius, or it's in our gardens or outside in the backyard, along with inside the farmhouse, there are just lots of functional activities that these children can work on.
Darius first stole hearts in Conway, where he lived along Tucker Creek on the Thompson family property. Neighbors would stop by to say hello, but after noise complaints, Darius's owners had to find him a new home, one with a different purpose.
And when we heard what a fantastic part of the Conway community he's been, how much joy he's brought to the community, we felt like it would be great to offer him a home here at the farm where he could continue to spread that joy and that hope to the children and families that we serve.
His owner says that this is the perfect place for Darius. Darius will be a part of therapy sessions, and staff say they hope his friendly personality will put big smiles on all the children and families at Pediatrics Plus. Can I get a comment on how you're feeling about your new home?
Love it. He doesn't know a stranger. He walks up almost and greets everybody who comes to the trail. So he's very hospitable, and he's really, really, really good around kids.
That was Catherine Rowley reporting from Arkansas. And that is it for this episode of Featured. Until next time, make it a great one.